Hey YouTube, Amanda here with Core TCG, here to bring you the latest updates in the world of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Today, I'm going to start off by talking about ICS Toronto. Now, the event was the day of the ban list, so we would expect people to have some sort of disorganization and not really know what to play, but as it turns out, plenty of the decks that got hit by the ban list are still very much playable and very much alive despite people's disbelief. Now, we saw a ton of wind-ups top. We also saw Dark World's Heroes, the new Geargias that are out, and a few other decks in the mix. The one that sticks out the most, of course, is Jeff Jones' Psychic build. I would like to cover a ton of rulings on these specific cards that are being played in the deck that can really make the difference between winning and losing against it. Now, the first aspect I would like to cover in the deck is the most important one, and her name is Serene Psychic Witch. This is the crutch of the deck. Now here's a few key deck standard cards that you can use against this card in order to throw these plays off. The first card I want to talk about is Leviair, and a Leviair versus Esper Girl ruling. You can Leviair your opponent's banished Esper Girl. You will remove the top card of your deck from play face down, and when that Esper Girl leaves the field, you do add that card to your hand despite it being an opponent's controlled Esper Girl. And it's more than often key to make a play like that when your opponent does go to banish for Serene Psychic Witch, because if you actually have played the deck, you'll realize how much that will cripple you as the Psychic player. Next, Torrential Tribute. Now we have this card at 2, and this is a very exploitable card for when you can optional effects. Serene Psychic Witch is an optional when you can effect. With that being said, you can put anything on Chainlink 1, like if you summon Tour Guide from the Underworld and activate her effect, or you activate an MST, or anything Chainlink 1. Then you put the Torrential Tribute at Chainlink 2. Now Torrential will resolve and destroy the Witch, and at this point, Witch can't activate, so we have to resolve Chainlink 1. Once we resolve Chainlink 1, Serene Psychic Witch cannot activate at this point. It's not a mandatory effect, it's optional. So you can make plays like this in order to make her miss timing. Other cards that make her miss timing, aside from manipulating the Chainlink and destroying her on a Chainlink higher than 1, is of course cards like Raiko the Lightsworn Hunter and Soul Taker. Just like we know the rulings with like Pulsar Dragon, which is also a card that misses timing, we can also do the same with Serene Psychic Witch. Other cards are cards like Dark Flare Dragon and DD Crow. Serene Psychic Witch must remain in the graveyard on the standby phase for that banished monster to be special summoned. It's kind of like TG's. If she doesn't exist in the grave at that point, she cannot activate to special summon that monster on that standby phase. This is also something really neat to know, which is another play you can make in order to prevent your opponent from getting that card back. Compulsory Evacuation Device. This is another deck standard. Now what Compulsory is really great against is Psychic Jumper and, of course, your Creature Swap, the bane of many people's existence. Now what Compulsory does for you against Creature Swap is Creature Swap doesn't target. So when you activate Creature Swap, if you control a monster and your opponent controls a monster, and then you chain Compulsory either to your opponent's monster or your own, that Creature Swap will fizzle and nothing will get exchanged. There has to be at least one monster on either side of the player's fields in order for that effect to properly resolve and literally swap the monsters at the same time. So that's important to know. Now the thing with Psychic Jumper is it does target. So what you do is you activate Compulsory and you target one of the monster's Psychic Jumper targets in order to prevent that swap from occurring as well. In these cases, these cards that say exchange control or switch control of the monsters resolve without effect if one of those targets are not on the field upon resolution. Book of Moon. Now this is going to tie into a few other cards of similar rulings that I'm about to explain. Silent Psychic Wizard, Hush Psychic Cleric, and Esper Girl all work the same when it comes to the cards they banish. They are tethered to the cards. For example, your opponent summons Silent Psychic Wizard, and you chain Book of Moon. Silent Psychic Wizard is still going to banish the card it targets when it activates. And then, if that Silent Psychic Wizard is removed from the field, that banished target will still be special summoned. The cards are still attached to each other. This is important to know in the instance of not making the mistake of wasting a Book of Moon on one of these cards, thinking that it's going to detach them from the cards they banish. Now here is one of the most debated rulings since Psychic's topped, and that's Silent Psychic Wizard versus Torrential Tribute. Now, a lot of people are confused as to what occurs, so I'm going to explain the scenario now. The scenario is, you summon a Silent Psychic Wizard. You activate its effect to banish monster. Remember, at this point, nothing's being removed yet, it's not a cost, and there can be a chain that builds up in response to this. Your opponent responds with Torrential Tribute. So now we have Chainlink 1 Wizard and Chainlink 2 Torrential. Now this chain resolves. Torrential resolves first, destroying the wizard. Then the wizard resolves and banishes a monster. Now at this point, wizard's in the graveyard, so the question is what happens with that banished monster? Now to understand Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulings, you have to realize that everything that happens on a chain is sequential, and the game state will always recognize that. That second part of the effect can only resolve correctly if that first part of the effect occurred. Because the first part didn't happen first, and the second part happened first, it can't occur backwards. So once this chain resolves, wizard will activate to special summon a banished monster, but because it wasn't banished by that effect when it was destroyed, that monster will not be special summoned. Now remember, this is an OCG ruling, not a TCG ruling, and these rulings can differ between our games. So the best thing to do is bring this as reference to a judge if you want to dispute it and see what he says about it, because there is no TCG official ruling on it yet. But as far as we understand, this is how the mechanics work. If later on that wizard is reborn or Grand-Soiled back and then goes back to the graveyard, it can get that banished monster back because at that point it occurred sequentially. With all of these rulings in mind, the Psychic matchup should be slightly easier for you. If you're still concerned about the matchup, there's plenty of very flexible side deck cards that work against other matchups too that you can use against the deck. King Tiger, Fossil Dyna, and Didi Crow are major examples. If you enjoyed the video at all, comment, rate, subscribe. If you have any suggestions for further content, of course feel free to leave it in the box below. I hope this video was anything informational to you and maybe clarified a few discrepancies you might have had. Today's coupon code is DDG Psychic. You can enter this on coretcg.com for a free 10% discount off of singles. And of course, we're always going to have some sort of special offer in our videos, whether it be free giveaways or coupon codes, all sorts of different special offers. So that's always neat to have. Free stuff's cool. I'm Amanda. I hope you guys enjoyed. Take care.